deep in a man cave at an undisclosed location. I got to say, I've been to this man cave a couple of times. This is the coolest I've ever seen it look.
I have to agree.
Seriously, I mean, there's some cool stuff. You know, there's a old motorbike and stuff, but now there's a classic winning sprint car team in here. This would be Graham Erhart. This would be Captain Laurie, the skipper. And this is... How do I possibly put you into words?
I don't know, but be nice.
Oh, geez, why should I start now? Mate, when Graham rolled this gorgeous Brock Hallett GW Racing number 5 in, you went, this would look nice if it stays here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an amazing machine you guys put together. And obviously, you know, all of Australia knows, they've seen it run around the track so many times. But to actually have it sitting in my shed, you know, where I sit down and watch Netflix, and where my little daughter had her fourth birthday party last week. Yeah, it's kind of surreal. As you know, I'm just a big fan, a big sprint car fan and speedway fan. So to have a little piece of history sitting in my shed. Good luck getting it out, boys. I'm bolting it down as we speak.
I have to admit, I did think about the humble beginnings in Lane Cove, where you once had Gary Rush's car brought out on spec, by the way, for that photo for the single.
Yeah.
And here we are, 24 years later.
Yeah.
It is still cool, though, isn't it? I know you are still absolutely a diehard, aren't you?
Oh, look, I get excited like a little kid does when they walk into the pits, or they see the first engine starts at the start of the night, you know, in the afternoon. Yeah, it's just, and it's something that's been with me from when I was in nappies, basically. Mum was taking me to Claremont Speedway, and everyone knows the story, but I was going to Claremont Speedway, you know, and sitting in Foul House Corner, yelling out at, you know, Alf Barbagallo and all the actual absolute legends and heroes in WA. You know, grew up with Gary Rush and Max Dumsney and Ron Cricky as my idols, you know. So it's and it never quite leaves you. You sort of think, oh, you grow out of things, but you never grow out of that little naive excitement that you get, and that's what sprint cars do to me.
Was there ever a moment where you dreamed as a young man that you were going to win the Warrnambool Classic, Graham Erhart? Because
never.
That's what happened.
Never, absolutely never. I mean, it's a dream come true, but it's fantastic, and you know, we've had a really good year, and you know, Brock's done a fantastic job, and no, it was one of those dreams for Wendy and I. It was just that come true. So
why do you do this?
Because I just love the sport. Been in motorsport all my life, and sort of a bit like Adam, I think my dad took me to the original Toowoomba Speedway in 1966.
Oh, about the same year that we started, mate.
And that's how it all started, and it got hooked and yelled over the fence the same as Adam, and here we are, you know. Here we are 48 years or something, you know, later, still doing it, and probably enjoying it more than I ever have.
Isn't that amazing how generations can connect over the exact same thing? You know?
Yeah.
And I mean, the things you've done in business in your life, you know, which are incredible, but all of that pales into insignificance when you have the thing that you're passionate about from when you're a kid. That's the thing that can light you up, you know, that lights the spark in you. And you know, it's the same for me. You know, I've played on stages all around Australia and around the world, and all that kind of stuff. But yet I turn into a little jelly-legged kid when one of these go past on a trailer. You know, I'm in the tour bus going to a big gig, and it's, oh, there's a sprint car. You know? So it's amazing how those things we can connect on. You know?
Absolutely, and for me, it's I always talk about the adrenaline kick that these things give me, and they probably give me, you know, I've been to NASCAR, I've been to F1, been all that, but the kick that these things give me, and the older I get, the worse the kick it's given me.
Oh, great.
It's just unbelievable. Like,
you are clinically addicted.
I am so addicted to the thing that, you know, Wendy says to me, you're basically in a race car coma from when you go in the gate to when you leave the track, and I'm usually in that coma for a couple of days later. So,
but that generational thing is real, because look, it's passed down.
Look, I think this is crazy though, because
Look at the shirt, by the way. 48 years to get the 50th Classic. Almost had 50 for 50.
the really cool thing for me is we take it for granted having sprint cars in the shed and transporters and all these things. Have been there my whole life. You know, there's always been race cars in our shed of some shape or form.
Well, ours too, Ad, right? Ours too.
Yeah, you never had a chance, did you? From a kid, race cars in the shed.
Basically was done. You know, no blood, just petrol,
Yeah.
methanol, you know, whatever these days. But it's really cool to see someone else light up when it rolls into their man cave,
Yeah.
and get to share that as well. So, you know, I think this year, and, you know, I wasn't at the Classic, but, you know, my day lit up just as well from the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
And, you know, this year's been really big about sharing the experience. And we've had so many people from previous motorsport lives and previous speedway divisions come back to us and really celebrate with us, and particularly celebrate mum and dad.
Yeah,
It's a massive triumph.
Yeah.
absolutely. How about you just hanging out in the man cave in the hinterland of the Gold Coast, mate, with some bloke that sings and talks about sprint cars, and here you are, mate.
Life's good, isn't it? Hey?
It sure is.
Pretty good, and you got to make the most of it. You really have, and you know, if you don't make the most of it, it's your own fault.
Fair enough.
That's wise words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all or nothing, right? How's that
Yeah.
line go in that song again?
Absolutely, it is all or nothing. And the other song, which obviously we all connected on recently,
Yeah.
is our church. It's about, you know, you think of churches, you know, a steeple and stained glass windows and all that kind of stuff, but our church is when a bunch of people who are passionate and believe in something and just love doing something get together and they share it. They share together in a community, and the Speedway family's been like that since the start of my career.
Yeah.
You know, when I first got to Sydney and completely unknown and just started my career as just this young hopeful from WA, they took me in. They took me in and made me part of their church, the Speedway Church, you know. So it's something I've always just been so chuffed and feel honoured to be a part of this community.
And that culture is really good, and I think in sprint car racing that culture is really, really strong. We all help each other through the highs and lows of it all. No doubt we're all super competitive while we're on the racetrack, but you know, when someone breaks down or whatever, we lend gear, we help with other gear.
Yeah.
The culture is really, really strong, and America's the same. I mean, you look at the outlaw race on Saturday. You know, a couple of guys broke down, needed wings changed, and every team was helping. You know, there was 25 guys helping, and that culture. You don't see that in other forms of motorsport so much, and you know, it's man eat man. But this sport is so competitive, but we still all help each other, and that's that church culture that's really, really strong. And you know, no doubt we all enjoy it so much, and we're passionate about it. And you know, I said after the Classic that you know, I still think this form of motorsport, you know, really, really gets you. And the racing at the moment has been phenomenal here in Australia, and you know, we've probably got the best bunch of young guys all around Australia at the moment that we've seen for a long, long time. And I think the next few, 4 or 5 years is going to be super competitive here in Australia, and you're going to see some really, really good racing. And if we can market this really well and get some good sponsors on board, this will be top shelf.
I want to add to that though, because the next generation that's coming through is the strongest I've ever seen it in my time in sprint cars. You know, young guys and young girls that are really competitive, and you know, they're moving at leaps and bounds. I think of when our family entered sprint car racing, how long it took to get going. And you know, you see some of these young kids, they're 1 and 2 seasons in, and they're putting it in every A main, and they're there. That's cool.
Scarily good, huh?
Well, it's good for the sport.
And when our church was released to the drag racing world, it happened at a time that was massively important for a community that was grieving the loss of one of their brothers. And the Speedway audience went, but that's our church. And the motocross people went, but that's our church. And everybody wanted to grab a piece of it. And that's what the whole thing was about. It wasn't about a specific church.
Yeah.
It was about the deeper and broader meaning behind it, right?
Totally. It was about anyone who gets together as like-minded and wants to share with each other and become family, you know. It wasn't excluding anyone. It wasn't, as you said, it wasn't, that's just written for that. It was about us.
But I think everyone's picked that up too, Adam.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah.
Picked it up and run with it. It's really good.
Yeah. Well, it came out of COVID time. It
Yeah.
came out of me and Maddie and another brother of ours, Chris, and they were going through the fire, like everyone was, just struggled for their purpose in life. And it was like, every week we're going to get together, whether we feel like it or not. And we're going to support each other through this. We're going to help each other. We're going to drag each other through this. And that's what church was. That's what church was for us. We started calling it, where are we going for church this week? Because we'd meet at a cafe or something. Where are we going for church this week? And it literally saved us. It literally got us through that time. And when the drag racing community went through that awful tragedy early in the year, you could see people supporting and getting behind each other and dragging them through this pain.
Yeah.
And that's what church is supposed to be. Like you said, there's 2 races with broken cars and broken things, and all their competitors are going, you know what? Doesn't matter. We're not going to see what number you're on the car is. All we're going to see is our friend who needs our help. And that's what church is to us.
There's a town in Iowa that has 7,000 people in it normally. It swells to over 25,000, the Marion County Fairgrounds for the Knoxville Nationals. That's why we've gotten here today. We're not telling anyone too much about that. We're just teasing them at the moment. It's always good to see you, mate. I want to say thanks to Laurie and a thanks to you, Graham, for driving down from Toowoomba with this gorgeous hot rod, and for you for doing what you're doing. And I can't wait. People are going to love it, mate.
And thank you, Wade. Thank you for organising it and putting it all together. It's fantastic.
I'm excited, mate. I'm excited. See you, boys. Thank you.
See you later.
You can have your man cave back now. Are you leaving with this thing, or is it staying here?
No, it's well, I've got some work to do. I'm not going to tune it up from